Hey, welcome back to the SC-100 course. In this video, we are going to look at authentication strengths and how we can use those with conditional access policies to increase the security of our Azure tenant and mostly our data within our environment. So, what is authentication strength? Well, authentication strength is a feature in conditional access that lets you define which authentication methods are required for app access. So examples are password MFA, passwordless, FIDO keys, and then things like a certificate-based authentication. So why would you want to use the authentication strengths? Well, the thing is, when it comes to authentication strengths, you need to verify access attempts and enforce the right level of authentication. So the way you can do that is enforce stronger auth for sensitive apps, meet compliance needs like NIST, FIPS, or 142, or PCI, drive passwordless adoption, reduce MFA fatigue with context-aware enforcement, and then support zero trust, verify explicitly principle. And there goes zero trust. We've talked about it and mentioned that a bunch of times in this course so far. So how does it work? Well, first we need to define authentication strength. Then we need to apply a conditional access policy. Well, more like assign a conditional access policy. And then Microsoft Entra enforces the required methods, and then users without the right method cannot access the app. All right, so now that we have knocked out the PowerPoint slides, what we're going to do is now roll up our sleeves and actually do something more fun, which is actually setting up an authentication strength. So I'm going into the Microsoft Azure portal this time, not the Entra ID. And I'm going to come here to Entra Conditional Access, and you can type it up here as well. Once you get here, what you're going to do is you're going to come over here to Authentication Strengths. So when you get to authentication strengths, you will see there's a bunch of different authentication strengths that you can create. So I have one here, high confidential YouTube. This is the one that we're going to use, but I'm going to show you how I got to creating that authentication strength. So when you get to authentication strength, you see authentication strength. These are your different authentication strengths. Then on type, you have the type, if it's built in or if it's a custom. All three of these are custom. These are the ones I created. And these are the three that come with the Azure portal when you first go into authentication strength. These are the ones that Microsoft provides you. Then authentication methods lets you know which authentication methods it is going to look for. Like, those are the authentication methods which will allow your group of users or all your users, whoever you are deeming for this conditional access policy, they need to have these type of authentication items in order for them to get granted access, because if not, they won't. And then here is the conditional access policy that is associated with that authentication strength. So multi-factor authentication is a built-in authentication strength, and it's associated with the MFA finance conditional access policy. And then down here, you see the phishing resistant MFA is a built-in and is associated with 3A FIDO authentication. So that's how that works. So if I click new authentication strength, I can call my authentication strength new auth demo. And now I get to choose which authentication strength I want. So I can now say, federated multi-factor. I can do Windows Hello, pass keys. Let me take this one out. And I can do something like authentication sign-in. And then when I click next, it lets me know during sign-in, users will be required to authenticate with one of the following. And it lets me know authenticator, pass keys, and Windows Hello for Business. And if I click create, there I have my new auth demo authentication strength. And if you wanted to, you could come right here really quickly. You could take a look at your authentication strength, and then you'd be able to see what's going on there. Now, let me come over here. I don't really need this one. So what I can do is actually this one, new auth demo. I'm going to delete this one just so you can see how it works. And you also are able to edit it. If I come here, I can now edit it if I want to. And if I wanted to duplicate it and I could delete it, I can go ahead and I could delete my authentication strength just like that. So And the reason why I want to show you that, because, you know, some people won't be able to see this, or they probably ask questions. I've been asked this before from a client. Well, how do I delete them if I don't need them? And they don't really see that there's a three dots here that you can go ahead and you can click, and it gives you a menu option there. Now, on the test, they're not going to ask you really about deleting or other stuff. I've throughout this whole course, this free course I'm giving out, I'm always going to give you a little bit more than what you need. Just, you know, that's just the type of person I am. Now, the next step is for us to apply this conditional access policy. And the reason why I went and created one before the video and then, you know, created one during the video is because sometimes Azure does take a little while to show up. I've created authentication strengths where in Microsoft Entra, I didn't see it, but then in Azure, it showed up. So sometimes it does take a little while to show up. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it that way, for the sake of the video, just in case anybody was wondering. So now I'm going to come back here to my policies, and I'm going to create a new policy. So with this policy, I'll just call this highly conf, like confidential, and then I'll say YouTube vid. And users, I'm going to target this to a group, because if you're doing an authentication strength, a lot of times you're going to do that for a group. You'll have the basic MFA for your users, but you may just do it for a group. So I'm going to look for a group. I think I got executive group. It's good. I have a finance exec group. So this is top dogs. They are like, hey, we need to make sure our information is secure. So we're going to also go and target our specific application. So I'm going to say select resources, and oops, nope, I don't want to select resources. They keep changing it. Actually, nope, I do. And I'm going to choose an app. So this would be, you know, just in case you had a proprietary app, I'm just grabbing some stuff here. And then that would be my target apps. Then when it comes to grant, I would say, all right, I'm going to grant access, but I'm requiring authentication strength. Now, this is where I see all the different authentication strengths that I have in my portal. And you see here, this high confidential YouTube is the one that I want to use. And then now I can click select, and then I would now turn it on. But for the video, I'm just going to leave it on report only, because I don't really care to have anything on there. And that's how you go about setting up your authentication strengths. That's how you get to define your authentication strength and then associate it. So now, if I come back over here to my authentication strengths, let me refresh this. Now you see high confidential YouTube, and then now I have the conditional access policy, high confi, why I thought I put conf, high confi YouTube video, and now it's associated with that conditional access policy. So now you see how you could get, you understand the purpose of authentication strengths. You also understand how to create authentication strengths, and then now finally create a conditional access policy that this way now you can apply the authentication strength to that policy. So I hope the information I provided you is beneficial. I hope you're enjoying this course, because I'm enjoying creating and providing you this content. I will only ask that if you can please be so kind to smash that like and subscribe button. But then also, if you see this post on LinkedIn, please share and comment about what you thought about this SC-100 course as well. So thank you again for watching this video. Here at Cloud Scholars, my goal is to get you from scholar to consultant, and of course, consultant to expert. Thank you, and see you next time.